Welcome to the Private Corporate Counsel Podcast. Today I want to talk to you about an issue that I see all too often when a husband and wife team owns a business. Usually I see that there are conflicts that bleed over from the business into their personal lives, or conflicts that bleed over from their personal lives into the business. This can be very devastating for a business for obvious reasons. At the root of the issue is a lack of understanding of each other's blueprint and a lack of creation and understanding of the business blueprint. We all have blueprints. Our blueprints start off from birth to now and includes every experience that we have, our educational experiences, our environmental experiences, our indoctrinational experiences, our relationship experiences, and other experiences we have throughout our lives. Initially, we're born into tribes. Our first tribe is our family. Then we go into other tribes. Maybe it's school, maybe it's church, and then we branch off into other tribes that we belong to that may involve friends or a sports team. And throughout all of these tribes, there are common themes. Some of those themes may conflict with each other. But from these tribes, we are extracting the cultural norms. When these cultural norms are ingrained in us as individuals, we start to develop belief systems, and from those belief systems, values, the things that we think are important. Now, most of us are operating on autopilot because we're running on the belief systems that were implanted or imprinted upon us by our parents, our churches, our teachers, our friends, maybe media in general. These belief systems and these values drive our thoughts, what we need, what we want, what we desire, which culminate to push us into an identity that we form for ourselves. And we're sticking with that identity. Usually a major archetype that we have is of one identity or the other. When we're so ingrained in that identity or archetype, we have these rules and expectations, not only for the external world and the people that we relate to, but for ourselves as well. Those experiences, those belief systems, those values, those thoughts, the identity, the rules and expectations, all form our blueprint. And of course, my blueprint's going to be different from your blueprint. Of course, when a husband and wife teams own a business, that husband and wife team will have two belief systems that are coming into that relationship. And they're not going to always agree. Who's right? Who's wrong? The problem is that they're both right, and they both can be wrong as well. But they never take the time to really understand each other's blueprint and how those blueprints actually conflict. How is a husband supposed to know that doing X, Y, and Z is the wife's rule and that is what she expects, unless she tells him? How is a wife to know that a husband rule is A, B, or C, and his expectation is similar to that, unless he tells her what that rule and that expectation is? Understanding each other's blueprint and understanding what the expectations and the rules are critical for the relationship to last, but it's also critical for the business to last as well. Now, the best approach that I've seen to this is to get a good understanding of each other's blueprint, understand that a husband and wife is coming together and creating a family blueprint, and that's going to be different from their individual blueprint, and that they need to take that same approach for their business. What is the business blueprint? What are the rules and expectations that are set for the business? And can we sit as a husband and wife team looking at that business and looking at that business's blueprint and working within it, with the understanding that if it's not working for the purposes of the business and it's not producing results, the results we want, that we can actually change the rules and expectations. We can change the blueprint for the business. When we shift the focus from competing with each other's blueprints and shift it to one of creating a new blueprint for the business and troubleshooting and updating that blueprint and making sure that we follow the rules and meet the expectations that we set within that blueprint, we give the husband and wife team the opportunity to stop fighting about their blueprint versus the other person's blueprint. They stop competing and they start collaborating. This is an effective way to move from competition to eliminate or reduce some of the avoidance that goes along with the conflict that stems from competition, to start accommodating, compromising, and eventually collaborating, which is where husband and wives can be very effective at building a good and sustainable organization that is not only profitable for them, but for all of the company's stakeholders. I can tell you I've seen this over and over. It's only been 10 years in the new year so far, and I've had at least 4 clients contact me to discuss conflicts between themselves as husband and wives who own the business, and experiencing the bleed over of those conflicts from the business to their personal lives. A very uncomfortable place to be. What I've seen, if people don't learn strategies like the one we just discussed today, of using the blueprints analysis to understand themselves and create one for the business and comply with that blueprint, is emotional hacking. You see one or the other person start to use negative emotions to hijack the relationship, or to intimidate the other person, or to manipulate the other person. For example, I've seen husband and wife teams, someone say, well, if I am not going to be heard, if you're not going to take my advice, if you're not going to do what I say, then what's the point of me being in business with you to begin with? Oh, this is too much for me, I'm going to quit. Or I can't work with you. Or you're unreasonable. They're using these negative triggers, these negative emotions, to try to manipulate the other person to appease them. Or they threaten to break apart the entire business, which sometimes breaks apart the relationship. That type of emotional hacking obviously is very destructive. And so starting off on the right foot with understanding and developing strategies to deal with that before it happens can be very, very useful for you and your business. To learn more about how to understand the blueprint tool and analyze your blueprint, your spouse's blueprint, and your business's blueprint, please call us at 407-647-7887 or visit us at info@privatecorporatecounsel.com.
Please continue to listen to our podcast to learn more. Contact us at 877-647-7887 or email us at info@pcc.law to learn more about the Private Corporate Counsel program and how we can help you and your business on your journey to success.